Being a sister is a wonderful experience, even though sisters may face many of the same challenges as everyone else. Sisters even share the experience of sexual abuse. According to a 1998 study, 30% of the sisters surveyed had experienced one or more forms of sexual abuse, mostly at the hands of priests, but occasionally also at the hands of outsiders or even fellow sisters. So, you should know which red flags to watch out for. Usually, sexual abuse is a gradual process. It starts with disrespecting your boundaries. That disrespect can come from a single person, or it can be a widespread attitude in your congregation. For example, when sisters can't set boundaries and they are unable to use phrases like, "I don't want that," this is a red flag. That atmosphere makes you vulnerable to all kinds of abuses, sexual abuse included. When there is uninvited talk about sexuality, this is a red flag too, especially when this happens in a one-on-one situation or in a spiritual context like a retreat, and very particularly when this happens in confession. Your confessor must not ask you any questions of a sexual nature during confession. If he does, this is a red flag and possibly a crime in canon law known as solicitation. If this happens to you, you can report him and find another confessor. When you work for a priest, always be aware of what is part of your task and what is not. Sexual favors or intimate physical or emotional contact are not part of your task. If he demands it anyway, that is abuse, and it is also a valid reason to report him. Sadly, not all sisters are being protected from sexual abuse or even rape. Sometimes, victims remain silent because they feel guilty and are afraid of being shamed. However, it is important to note that it is the person who initiated the sexual contact who is to blame, all the more when that person is superior, because then the act constitutes an abuse of power. Sisters who are being coerced into sexual acts are not to be blamed. They are victims. When there is no consent, there is no responsibility. When a sister has gone through this experience, she deserves the support of her superiors and her community to deal with the trauma, receive appropriate therapy, and report the perpetrator to the secular and ecclesiastical courts if she wants to. However, not all congregations are ready to assist a traumatized sister in that way. Some are afraid of the perpetrator or even complicit or ignorant. This can have devastating effects. Some communities have been sensitized and have learned to deal differently in similar cases. But how do you know if your community has? We suggest you address this issue early on in your formation. If you speak with your superiors and fellow sisters about the risk of sexual abuse of nuns, and it turns out that they are not prepared to deal with these issues, this is a red flag. If, however, your community is aware of the issue and ready to protect you against abusive behavior and even to stand by a sister's side should the worst happen, then you have the best protection you can have.